What is going on in California? Long droughts, extreme floods, and a shrinkage in the diversity of species. California is in the middle of a crisis, and it is all related to water. California has one of the most extreme weather conditions that makes the availability of water a huge challenge. To fight this growing problem, the government has proposed a $4 billion reservoir project to help California get back on its feet. Let's take a closer look at what the project is all about, why it is necessary, and what the future holds for California. California has always had major issues with water. This is probably so because a large part of the state is arid lands, such as the Mojave, the Great Basin, and the Colorado Desert. Things got so bad that by October 2021, the governor of California declared a drought emergency in the state and pleaded with residents to reduce their water usage by 15% to avoid a complete catastrophe. In 2022, California recorded its driest season ever. Farmers couldn't plant, and about 600 square miles of farmland located in Sacramento had to be left to fallow due to extremely low levels of water. Fast forward to 2023, the drought emergency still remains. But this is only one side of the story. Now let's take a look at California's rainfalls. It is not that California does not experience rainfall. It actually does, a lot. California experiences such heavy rainfalls and floods that it submerges major parts of cities and towns. At some point, the governor had no choice but to declare a state of emergency. Imagine having to declare a state of emergency for both flooding and drought. See, the problem is that when rain falls, only a small amount is stored, while the rest of the rainwater flows back to the sea. There just isn't a system to channel and preserve all that rainwater for the period of drought. Or is there? In the 50s, California experienced droughts and floods in the same way as the present, so the state developed a water storage system that recycled water with a larger percentage of the water channeled into agriculture. There were more than 20 dams built to collect water in large reservoirs, such as the Pyramid Lake and Oroville Dam. The water from these reservoirs was channeled to farms, cities, and construction sites in the dry season. This process is usually conducted through pumping stations, water canals, and others. Even though these structures existed, a lot more was needed to provide sustainable water for the ever-growing population in California. Aside from the financial debts and economic problems that hindered the development of new mega projects in the region, another issue that impeded the planning and construction of water reserves was the environmental issues. Local fish species were unable to swim upstream during the breeding seasons. Therefore, the pumping process negatively affected biodiversity. The population of certain species greatly declined, and the environmentalists kicked against more of these projects. When the old dams and water reservoirs were built in California, they helped grow the economy to $400 billion in yearly revenue. But today, things have changed, because over the last few decades, the population in California grew by a lot more than 20 million people. This means that the water demand has also multiplied to the extent that the old dams and canals can no longer sustain the needs. Climate change is also making things more difficult with its blast of heat waves, taking the temperature 2 degrees higher than normal and making the drought even drier. Because of this, the state, in collaboration with the California Department of Water Resources, has decided to embark on a major project called the Site Reservoir. What does the location look like? The reservoir is sited in a dry, open plain in a narrow valley surrounded by hills and cliffs. There are also a few clusters of buildings scattered in the distance. The valley will be flooded and used as a lake reservoir. This 14,000-acre reservoir project is off-stream and is located west of Colusa, just in the Sacramento Valley of North California. It proposes to store a water volume of 1.8 million acre-feet and would pump 470,000 to about 640,000 acre-feet of water per year. The annual yield would certainly depend on the amount of rainfall and possible environmental restrictions. Although the project is yet to resume, construction will likely kick off in mid-2024, to be completed in 2030. If the reservoir is successfully built, it will provide adequate water for thousands of California homes and other applications such as farming and industrial activities. How will this mega project be built? A lot of critical analysis went into the choosing of this location, as it provides the depth needed to form a reservoir. Construction will begin with the building of dams at various gaps and openings between hills to seal them off and ensure that there is no open diversion for water to run off. This means that the valley will look similar to a giant bathtub. The next step is to introduce the water into the valley in high volume. This is done by filling rivers and allowing them to flood the valley, similar to how the Oroville Dam was created. The water current builds up and flows into the valley during the season of heavy rain. There will be two major dam stations, the Sight Dam and the Golden Gate Dam. Both will be situated on the eastern side of the valley. Building the valley is only the first phase. Now pumping the water into the valley is another challenging phase of the project. This process will require a large amount of energy. But the beauty of the project is that there is no energy lost, as the hydroelectric generators would also generate up to 80% of the energy that would be used in the pumping process. Now, let's talk numbers. The project will cost $3.9 billion, with approximately $4 billion funded by both local and federal government. That project got its first $816 million funding in 2018 from California's Proposition 1 water bond. It then went ahead to secure another $449 million investment from the United States Department of Agriculture. The reservoir is considered an arm of the California State Water Project. The site reservoir is projected to bring in revenues of $260 million annually. The cost to operate the reservoir would tally between $10 to $20 million. So, what about the environment? And will this new project affect biodiversity negatively? Environmentalists are curious as to how this reservoir would affect the migration of fish along the river and what form of disruption would occur this time. Well, there is very little that can be done in that regard, as fish would not be able to swim upstream because of the construction of the wall of concrete. However, the Sacramento stream will not be completely blocked. The power of the pump might be a bit overwhelming for fish swimming close to it, but there will be fish screens to ensure that the fish are not sucked into the reservoir. The reservoir itself may also support aquatic life in different periods. There's so much to talk about the project and what it could mean for California. But what is the guarantee that this project will be a success? What is the possibility that the funding will be available when needed and adequate to complete construction? There are so many speculations and uncertainties on the future of this project, which is yet to even begin. What are your thoughts on the site reservoir? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so that you don't miss a single video. That's all for now, and we'll see you in the next one.